Why hello there. I just want to mention a few things before we get into it. Number 1, these are my top 3 assault rifles, not yours. If you don't like them, that's fine. Number 2, I'm going off of my own definition of assault rifle, not the Wikipedia definition of assault rifle, because as far as I know, flamethrowers are not assault rifles. Wikipedia. And 3, these weapons are in no particular order. Well, actually that's a lie, they're in alphabetical order, but you know what I mean. In at number 1, we have a bit of a stretch because it's technically a rapid-fire micro-missile launcher, but let's be honest here, it plays and feels like an assault rifle. Behold, the Exceltra. The build is pretty much what you would expect. It's fully galvanized with primary merciless, which I haven't maxed out because I'm a pleb, and it's focused around Viro and Hunter munitions. One thing I would like to mention here is that I like to run crit delay on the Exceltra to get maximum crit chance, but to also bump down the fire rate, since the ammo economy on the Exceltra is very bad. This is also why I would recommend at least unranked rifle ammo mutation, though ideally you would want to polarize the Exel slot and get primed ammo mutation in there instead. This thing packs quite the punch once you fully ramp it up with the right build. The thing I like about it the most is the AoE splash damage, which makes it great for cleaving down groups of enemies. This, in my opinion, more than makes up for the lack of single target, as you can simply switch to a secondary or a melee weapon for more single target if you need to. The biggest problem with the Exceltra, as I've mentioned already, is its ammo economy. It's pretty bad even with ammo mutation. So if you take this into Steel Path, make sure you have at least a few ammo pizzas on you just in case you get unlucky. Also, it's somewhat mediocre single target damage as well as its reliance on hunter munition doesn't make it a great acolyte weapon, so if you're gonna take it into Steel Path, make sure you have a good secondary melee weapon or a friend that will take on the acolyte instead. Now this doesn't mean that it can't do it, you can definitely kill an acolyte with it as you can see on the screen right now, but it's just not worth it doing because you're gonna blow through your ammo for no good reason. In at number 2, I put the Baza Prime. The build for this one looks oddly familiar, does it not? Fully galvanized with primary merciless, Viro and Hunter munitions, and I like to run crit delay here. Though if you don't want to lose the fire rate, you can easily run point strike or even a primed Bane mod for some extra sweaty damage. Now while I run vigilante supplies in the Exiles, you don't really need to put anything into the Exiles. The ammo economy is fine, so you don't need ammo mutation, the weapon is already silent, so you don't need to silence it, and it has no recoil, so you don't need recoil reduction either. This is just a good crit rifle through and through. It has better single target damage than the Exceltra, but it lacks any sort of AoE. The biggest downside of the Baza Prime is that while it's very accurate, it has a limited range. The damage starts to fall off at 30 meters, and by the time you're shooting at something that's 60 meters away, you're only doing 50% of the damage. Though to be entirely honest with you, as far as downsides go, that's pretty minor. So all in all, just a fantastic weapon with excellent single target DPS. This weapon will happily take you through the entire game, and you can even take it into Steel Path and it's gonna be just fine. It does have a similar drawback to the Exceltra though. A lot of your damage comes from hunter munitions, and since acolytes are status resistant, you're not going to be able to bleed them out, so it's not a great acolyte weapon. I would say this one is actually even worse than the Exceltra because while you're not going to run out of ammo with the Baza Prime, it's going to take you forever to kill the acolyte since the upfront damage is very low. Now I did say that these are in no particular order whatsoever, but this last one is hands down the strongest rifle in the game. Let me introduce you to the Buzzlock. Now the build is, surprise surprise, the same again. We go fully galvanized with primary merciless and we run Viro and Hunter munitions. The difference here is that you definitely want to go with point strike on this one. It has just enough fire rate to not feel bad, so you don't want to lower that any further. I've been telling people to use this weapon for years, literally years, and they just don't listen. The Buzzlock, as it is just a very solid assault rifle. It does a ton of damage and it's a bit weird because it has a scope. The insane thing about the Buzzlock is that it has a secondary fire which fires a special round that embeds itself into an enemy and homes all your primary shots into it. This is already pretty good because it allows you to get reliable headshots, but it gets better. Every time you land the secondary shot, you get a 20-second buff that gives you additive 50% increased crit chance, turning the Buzzlock from a really strong rifle into an insanely strong rifle. All you have to do is just tap something every 20 seconds with a secondary fire. That's it. This thing is preposterously strong for so many different things. You can meld the Steel Path with it, it destroys bosses, it is my go-to weapon for the Plague Star because you can just track the weak points and then fire into them, and it's fantastic for taking down acolytes because you just hit them with a secondary fire and then fire vaguely in their direction and they die. And I still haven't mentioned the best part about the Buzzlock. Since people refuse to listen to me and just don't use this, it has maxed out Riven disposition, so you can get some absolutely gross Rivens for this. I don't know why people don't use this, genuinely don't know. Like, it might be the reload speed, maybe they don't like the scope, I don't know, but this thing is hands down the strongest assault rifle in the game. Now, before we wrap this up, I just quickly want to mention one thing that's great for getting a bunch of extra crit for your primary weapons, and that's running Vigilante mods on your companion's weapon. My companion, Bigger Snickers, a Moa, runs the Hellstrom with Vigilante supplies, Vigilante armaments, and Vigilante fervor. The reason I use these is, well, I like the multi-shot and fire aid, but it's primarily there to get the 15% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons, since the set bonus works even if you put them on your companion's weapon. This can add a surprising amount of damage to your primary weapon, so if you're not running a Kubro or a Kavat or another animal and you're running a mechanical pet, definitely make sure you put on the Vigilante mods. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, let me know what are your top 3 fully automatic primary rifles in the game in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.